Hello and welcome to Controllers Tech. This is the 12th video in the ESP32 series using the Expressive IDE, and today we will continue with the small series interfacing the SPI-based display with ESP32. In the previous video we saw how to include the LVGL graphic library to our project. We also saw how to use the SquareLine Studio to design the UI, and how to use the UI files in the project. Today we will implement the touch functionality for the display. We will use the same method that we used for interfacing the LCD. You must know the touch controller connected to the LCD. The ILI9341 display I am using has the ESP32 touch interface controller. This is the ESP LCD touch driver for this controller. Let's download the archive and extract it. We will continue modifying the project from the previous tutorial, but first we need to get the format for interfacing the touch controller. Let's open the IDE, and create a new expressive project. Create the project using the SPI LCD touch template. Let's look for the code related to touch interface. Here is the LVGL touch callback function. Copy it somewhere in a separate file. Let's continue browsing the main file now. Here are another set of functions needed for the touch functionality. Let's copy them in the separate file too. Note that the touch is configured after completely configuring the LCD, just before creating the LVGL task. We will do it in the same way in our project. We do not need anything else from this template project, so let's delete it. I have downloaded the project from the previous tutorial. Let's load this project to the IDE. Here is the main file. Note that I deleted the LVGL folder before uploading the project on the website. But the IDF component file has the dependency for the LVGL version 9.2.2. Also note that the Managed Components folder contains only one folder right now. Let's build this project once. The project builds successfully, and note that the LVGL library is added to the Managed Components folder. Basically the IDE automatically downloaded the library, as the dependency for the same was added in the components file. It does not matter where the folder is located as long as the project builds fine. Let me delete the ST7735 dependency from this project, as I am not using it anymore. Let's add the dependency for the ESP32 Now copy the ESP32 folder to the components folder inside the project. Let me delete the ST7735 related files and folders, as I will just focus on ILI9341. Let's build the project again to check for errors. There are no errors, so let's proceed ahead. Include the ESP32 header file. Now we will add the functions which we copied from the template project. This is a callback function called by the LVGL to detect the touch. Inside the function, we will first read the touchpad data. Then the function, getCoordinates, is used to detect the touch. This function returns true when a touch is detected, otherwise it returns false. If the touch is detected, the touchpad coordinates are copied into the LVGL indef data structure. The next set of functions are used to initialize the touch driver. Let's copy these functions after running the UI. This code is written for some other driver, so let's change it to ESP32 Now we need to configure the CS pin for the touch. Let's take a look at the connection diagram once. Here you can see the touch and display both are connected to the same SPI pins. The data in pin of the touchpad is connected to the MOSI pin, whereas the data out pin is connected to the MISO pin. Clock pin is connected to the clock itself. The chip select pin needs to be different, and that is why it is connected to the GPIO2. Let's define the CS pin for the touchpad here. Since we are using the same SPI for both LCD and touch, the SPI host also needs to be the same. This function adds a new panel to the SPI, the touch panel. Next we need to define the touchpad resolution, which is basically the same as the LCD. The rest of the configuration will remain unchanged for now. We will see later if something needs to be modified. Let's delete this condition from here. I am not using the ESP logs, so I will use the printf here to print this on the console. Let's change the driver name here to ESP32 These functions initialize the LVGL input driver. It first creates a new input device driver. Then set the device type to pointer type. Then it connects the input device to the display. Next it connects the input device to the touchpad driver. Finally it sets the callback for the input device. Let's go to this callback function. Here if the touch is detected, we will print something on the console. This is just to make sure that the touch is being detected. That is all. Let's build the project once. There are no errors, so let's flash it to the board. Here you can see the UI from the previous tutorial is running on the board. The touch driver has been initialized successfully. Let's touch on the display now. You can see that the string is printing on the console each time the touch is detected on the display. So everything is working fine so far. Now we will create an UI on the SquareLine Studio to test the touch functionality. I am using the LVGL version 9.2.2, so I am selecting the same here. Let's create a folder where the SquareLine project will be stored. The display size is 240 by 320, and the color depth is 16 bits. I am going to create a very simple UI to test the touch functionality. Let's add a button, and a text area. The text area will display the screen number. I will add one more screen to this project, and the button will be used to change the screens on the display. Let's add a label to this button. I am calling it Next. We will add an event to this button. When the button is clicked, we will change the screen. But we need to first create a second screen here. Alright, when the button is clicked on screen 1, the screen will change to screen 2. We can also add some animation for this screen change. You can test the project by clicking this play button on the top. You can see the screen is changing just fine. Let's modify screen 2 now. Here the text area will display screen 2, and the button label will display previous. We will also add an event to this button. When it is pressed, the screen will change back to screen 1. Let's quickly test this project on the studio itself. Alright, everything is working fine here. Let's add the spinner to both the screens. I am modifying the color of the elements on screen 2. Alright, everything is working fine in the studio. Let's open the project settings. Here we will set the path to export the UI files. Also set the LVGL include path to lvgl.h. That is all. Apply these changes and export the UI files to the UI folder we just created. Now delete the existing UI folder in the project, and copy the UI folder we just created. We need to modify the sources in the CMakeList file. Copy the sources from the UI folder, and replace the ones in the main folder. Since these files are inside the UI folder, we need to add the folder path here to the source files. Save this CMakeList file, and close it now. The UI is already initialized in the main function, so we do not need to do anything here. Let's build the project once to check for errors. There are no errors here, so flash the project to the board. Here you can see the new UI has been loaded on the display. Let's tap on the button to change the screen. You can see the touch is being detected, but the button is not responding. But if I tap at the lower half of the screen, the button responds and the screen changes to screen 2. The second button also responds to the touch at the same location. This means that the touchpad coordinates are not aligned correctly with the display. Since the error seems to be in terms of the y-axis, let's mirror the y-axis of the touchpad. Also, you must have noted that the display animation was very slow. We can fix it by reducing the threshold time in the LVGL port task. The value of this variable is 100, so this makes the threshold time equals to 20 milliseconds. Let's reduce it to 2 milliseconds. Alright, let's build and flash the project to the board again. You can see that the touch coordinates are fixed, and now the tap on the button is responding just fine. Also note that the animations are a lot smoother comparatively. Now we need to fix the text size on the display. The text size during the design was fine, but here it is bigger than the elements. Let's open the SDK configuration. Browse down to LVGL configuration, and here you will see the font usage section. I set the font size to 20 in the previous project. The default font size is also set to 20, that is why the fonts are bigger than what we designed in the studio. The studio uses the default size of 14, so let's set the same here. Now save this SDK configuration, build and flash the project to the board again. You can see the fonts are now smaller, and they fit the elements just like how we designed it. The touch is also working fine. The buttons are responding well, and the animations are also smooth. So now we have the touch functionality working on our ILI9341 display. You can use the SquareLine Studio to build more projects and test them. This is it for the video. I hope you understood how to implement the touch functionality to the display connected to ESP32. You can download the project from the link in the description. Leave comments in case of any doubt. Keep watching and have a nice day ahead.